preparing for one examination for 3 years. You stop attending family functions, your parents spend their savings on coaching, you study 12 hours a day. Finally, exam day arrives. You complete the paper and return home thinking that your future will now depend on your performance. Then, a few days later, you hear one sentence. The paper may have been leaked. अब सवाल ये है स्टूडेंट दोबारा एग्जाम दे सकता है बट कैन एनीवन रिटर्न द लॉस्ट टाइम कैन एनीवन रिटर्न द मेंटल पीस और सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट कैन द सिस्टम रिटर्न द स्टूडेंट्स ट्रस्ट टुडे स्टूडेंट्स आर नॉट questioning only one NEET examination, they are questioning years of paper leaks, cancelled examinations, technical failures, delayed recruitment, and weak accountability. At the same time, India has also achieved that genuinely deserved recognition. Chandrayaan 3, digital infrastructure, major highways, international diplomacy, and national security operations. So this video is neither an attack on the government nor a defense of it. This is an examination of the system itself. And stay until the end because we will carefully analyze what PM Modi recently said about NEET controversy, what was correct in his statement and what was missing, and what questions student can still repeatedly ask. I'm not a politician, journalist or professional political commenter. मैं भी एक student हूँ. Like millions of Indian students, my future also depends on the education system, examination and opportunities. That is why this subject is personal, but I still want to remain factual. This video does not ask you to support or oppose any political party. Government ने अच्छा काम किया है, we will acknowledge it. System fail हुआ है, we will question it. Protesters ने violence किया हो, we will not defend it. पुलिस ने disproportionate force use किया हो, we will not ignore it. Because facts should not change according to the party we support. Let's understand what is happening right now. The NEET UG 2026 crisis. It is a common national entrance examination for the undergraduate medical education in India. The 2026 examination involved more than 2 million candidates after allegations that the examination paper had been leaked. The original process was cancelled and the NTA, National Testing Agency, announced a nationwide re-examination for the 21 June 2026. Now, this was not a minor correction. More than 2 million students had to enter examination mode again. Think about what that means. A student may have traveled hundreds of kilometers. Parents may have booked hotels. Some students had already moved toward counseling or other admissions. सब कुछ suddenly reset हो गया. Reports described severe anxiety candidates before the retest. The government also introduced tighter security measures and investigation proceeded across states. Also, in addition to it, the government also temporarily blocked Telegram until after the re-examination, saying that the platform was being used by organized cheating networks. Critics argued that blocking an entire platform was disproportionate and might not solve the underlying security failure. This gives us the important distinction. Catching people after a leak is necessary, but preventing the leak before it damages millions of students is the actual test of governance. See how the protest grew. The examination controversy produced demonstration in several cities. A youth-led movement known as the CJP Cockroach Jantar Party developed from online satire into a broader protest movement focused on the examination integrity, employment frustration, and political accountability. Activist Sonam Wangchuk began a hunger strike on 28 June as his health worsened. Authorities moved him to the hospital on 18th July against his wishes, which further intensified the movement. On 20 July, protesters attempted to march toward parliament despite restrictions. Police said sections of the crowd violated prohibitory orders and behaved aggressively. Protesters alleged that the police used unnecessary force, including baton charges. Reuters reported that approximately 60 protesters and 118 police personnel were injured, while 70 protesters were detained. These are reported figures and the exact sequence of the confrontation remains disputed. ये पॉइंट क्लियरली समझना जरूरी है. पीसफुल प्रोटेस्ट इज अ डेमोक्रेटिक राइट. Stone pelting, assault, or destruction of public property, when proved, is not peaceful protest. At the same time, police authority does not give anyone the right to use disproportionate force. Evidence should decide responsibility, not viral clips selected by either side. This anger did not begin in 2026. This is not only about NEET. The SSC examination controversy. SSC, the Staff Selection Commission, conducts recruitment examination for many Group B and Group C positions in central ministries and departments. For lakhs of young Indians, an SSC examination is not simply a test, it's their path toward financial stability and a government career. So in 2025, SSC selection post phase 13, candidates reported technical problems, last minute cancellations, poorly managed centers, and other disruptions. The issue became widely discussed under the hashtag SSC mismanagement. Aspirants and teachers protested in Delhi and demanded greater transparency and accountability. SSC later indicated that affected candidates at certain centers would receive another opportunity rather than cancelling the entire examination. Government's possible defense is understandable. Technical failures can happen in a very large computer based examination. One malfunction does not automatically prove corruption. Fair point. लेकिन स्टूडेंट का काउंटर क्वेश्चन भी फेयर है. When an authority charges application fees, chooses the vendor, approves the centers, and controls the examination schedule, then who takes the responsibility when candidates reach a center and the system does not work? Student late हो, entry denied, student का photograph में problem है and form rejected. But when the examination authority fails, usually the student receives another date and no compensation. That imbalance is what frustrates aspirants. Similar controversies have appeared across state level recruitment and school examination. During 2025, reported cases included examinations being cancelled or postponed because of suspected leaks, administrative lapses, or technical failures in Uttarakhand, Odisha, Assam, Jharkhand, Haryana, and other states. These cases do not all have the same fact. कुछ केसेस में लीक इन्वेस्टिगेट हुआ, कुछ में टेक्निकल फेलियर था, कुछ एलिगेशंस सोशल मीडिया पर वायरल हुए बट वर नेवर कंक्लूसिवली प्रूवन. So we should not place every examination under one label. But when candidates repeatedly encounter cancellations, retests, and delays, the combined effect becomes a national trust problem. Now, what about UPSC? UPSC, Union Public Service Examination, is a constitutional institution that conducts the civil services examination and several other national recruitment processes. There is that UPSC has often taken action against candidates accused of impersonation, false documents, or unfair means. The widely discussed Pooja Khetkar case concerned allegations of identity misrepresentation, eligibility claims, and extra examination attempts. Not a proven nationwide question paper leak, legal proceedings and challenges continued after UPSC cancelled her candidature. In 2026, a coaching institute claimed that 82 UPSC preliminary examination questions matched its material. It later admitted that social media post had been backdated, weakening that apparent evidence of advanced knowledge. This example teaches something important. A viral claim is not automatically proof of a leak. Students should demand transparency, but we must also protect credible institutions from unsupported allegations, right? UPSC aspirants still raise legitimate concerns: long recruitment cycles, limited attempts, expensive preparation, unequal access to coaching, language barriers, and the psychological pressure created by very few vacancies. Every difficult examination is not unfair, but every examination institution should be able to demonstrate that selection depends on merit, not money, contacts, or administrative law. There is no exam to become a politician. There is one line that many students are using. डॉक्टर बनने के लिए नीट, ऑफिसर बनने के लिए यूपीएससी, गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय बनने के लिए एसएससी एंड अदर चीजें बनने के लिए भी एग्जाम, बट नेता बनने के लिए कोई एग्जाम नहीं. Emotionally, the line is powerful, but let us analyze it fairly. In a democracy, there should not be an academic entrance examination for political leadership. Why? Because democracy belongs equally to a university professor, farmer, laborer, homemaker, and a person who never received formal education. Making a degree compulsory could exclude millions of capable grassroots representatives. So, नेता बनने का एग्जाम नहीं is not itself the problem. The real question is, what is the accountability examination for a leader after being elected? Elections are one answer, parliament is another. Courts, audits, the press, opposition parties, and public questioning are also part of that evaluation. स्टूडेंट का रिजल्ट मार्कशीट पर आता है, गवर्नमेंट का रिजल्ट पब्लिक सर्विसेज और पब्लिक ट्रस्ट में दिखता है, आता है. No written exam is required for a political leader, but their performance should be examined every day. Okay. Now, India from 2021 to 2026, achievement crisis and major events. In 2021, India faced a devastating second wave of COVID-19. Families experienced illness, death, oxygen shortages, hospital pressures, unemployment, and school disruption. At the same time, India scaled one of the world's largest vaccination programs. Healthcare workers, scientists, government teams, private institutions, and volunteers carried out an enormous national effort. Digital vaccination certificates and public health system were developed. Both truths can exist together. The vaccination effort deserves appreciation, and the shortages, preparedness failures, and suffering during the second wave deserved honest examination. Students faced online education, postponed examination, and unequal access to smartphones and internet connections. 2021 taught us that technology can maintain continuity, but technology cannot automatically create equality. By 2022, economic activity had recovered significantly. UPI and digital payments became part of ordinary day life. Highway, metro, railway, and airport projects continued expanding. Direct benefit transfers and digital identification helped reduce some layers of delay and leakage in welfare delivery. These are important governance achievements, but 2022 also showed youth anxiety around jobs and recruitment. The announcement of the Agnipath military recruitment scheme produced protest. Supporters described it as a reform intended to create a younger, more flexible armed force. Critics questioned short services term, long-term career security, and post-service opportunity. यहाँ lesson ये था, reform may be necessary, but major changes affecting young people required clear communication, transition, planning, and consultation. On 23 August 2023, Chandrayaan-3 Vikram lander successfully touched down near the moon's southern polar region. India became the fourth country to soft land on the moon and the first to land near the region. This achievement belongs to ISRO's scientists, engineers, technicians, supporting institutions, taxpayers, and successive governments that developed India's space program. इस अचीवमेंट को पॉलिटिकल फाइट बना देना भी अनफेयर होगा. National institutions grow across decades. The government in office deserves credit for support and execution, while the scientific community deserves primary recognition for the mission itself. India also hosted the G20 Presidency in 2023. The presidency increased India's diplomatic visibility, brought the African Union into the G20 as a permanent member, and placed digital public infrastructure and development issues prominently on the agenda. These were significant movements of international recognition. But 2023 also included painful domestic developments, including prolonged violence in Manipur. A nation's global image matters. Internal peace, citizen safety, and timely political response matter equally. In 2024, India conducted another enormous general election. Narendra Modi ji began a third consecutive term as a Prime Minister. This time in a coalition environment where alliance partners held greater importance. The year also brought the NEET UG 2024 controversy. Allegation involved a paper leak in certain locations, grace marks disputes, and unusual result patterns. The Supreme Court concluded that malpractice had occurred in limited centers but said the available evidence did not establish a nationwide systematic breach requiring cancellation of the entire examination. This distinction matters. There was misconduct, but the court did not accept every viral claim of nationwide leak. In the same year, Parliament enacted the Public Examination Prevention of Unfair Means Act, intended to punish organized cheating, leaks, and other unfair practices in specified public examination. Passing a law was a meaningful response, but the 2026 crisis creates an obvious follow-up question. Was enforcement and prevention strong enough after the law was passed? In 2025, examination related frustration continued. SSC candidates reported technical and administrative failures. Other entrance board and state recruitment examination also faced cancellations, suspected leaks, or technical problems. Then, on 22 April 2025, terrorists attacked civilians near Pahalgam. 26 people were killed, including 25 Indian citizens and one Nepalese national, according to the Government of India's official account. India subsequently launched Operation Sindoor, describing it as a target response against terror infrastructure. Armed forces planning and execution received widespread national support. Government's briefings described the strikes as focused and designed to avoid civilian and military targets not connected to terrorism. Respect for the armed force is completely compatible and democratic questioning. Citizens may support the response while still asking, were there preventable intelligence or security gaps before the Pahalgam attack? What long-term support was given to victims' families? What diplomatic and security strategy followed the military operation? National security does not become weaker when responsible questions are asked. It becomes stronger when mistakes are studied instead of hidden. India entered 2026 as one of the world's fast-growing major economies, with ambitions in manufacturing, infrastructure, digital technology, semiconductors, space, and global diplomacy. But national growth statistics do not automatically answer the everyday question faced by a young citizen: will I receive a fair opportunity? GDP can grow while job anxiety remains. Infrastructure can improve while an examination system loses public confidence. A country can reach the moon and still struggle to deliver a secure question paper. अब ये comparison इसरो को इंसल्ट करने के लिए नहीं है. It shows the strange contradiction of modern India. We have the technical ability to complete extraordinary difficult missions. So why do basic administrative system repeatedly fail? At an NDA parliamentary party meeting, Prime Minister Modi reportedly described the NEET paper leak as a serious national issue and a grave sin. He said preventing paper leaks is a national responsibility, that strict punishment would be given to those responsible, and the future of young people is our priority. He also reportedly urged political parties not to reduce the issue to partisan politics. Let us first acknowledge what was positive in his statements. Number 1. The Prime Minister recognized the seriousness of the problem. Calling it as a national issue is better than treating it as a small administrative error. Number 2. He promised punishment. Organized examination fraud must have real legal consequences. Number 3. He placed students' future at the center of the discussion. That is the correct priority. Number 4. He warned against reducing the matter to party politics. That principle is reasonable. Paper leak should concern every government, opposition party, examination body, and citizen. A future government of another party should be held to exactly the same standard. What was incomplete or missing? But a strong statement must eventually produce measurable action. Those responsible will be punished creates several unanswered questions. Who exactly is included in those responsible? Only the people who sold or circulated the paper? Or also the vendors, examination center officials, supervisor officers, and senior administrator whose system failed? Criminal responsibility and administrative responsibility are different. A senior official may not have personally leaked the paper, but if basic safeguards repeatedly fail under the official's leadership, the public can still ask whether there should be administrative consequences. Secondly, no clear public timeline was included in the reported remarks. Investigation कब complete होगी, charge sheets कब file होगी, what reforms will be implemented before the next major examination. How will students know that the system is actually safer? Thirdly, calling the issue partition politics can be valid when political parties exploit tragedy. But the label must not be used to dismiss genuine student questions. Opposition parties may gain politically from a controversy that does not automatically make the controversy false. Similarly, protest leaders may exaggerate some claims that does not automatically make every grievance invalid. Each claim should be evaluated separately on evidence. Prime Minister Modi ji, Education Minister ji, and examination authorities. These questions are not accusations. These are requests for measurable accountability. What exactly failed in the NEET UG 2026 security chain? Was the breach at paper preparation, printing, transport, digital storage, and examination center, or through an external vendor? Will the complete investigation findings be published after legally sensitive information is protected? Students need more than the sentence, an investigation is going on. After the NEET controversy of 2024 and the Public Examinations Act, what specific reforms were implemented and why were those reforms unable to prevent the 2026 crisis? Question 4. Will responsibility stop with small operators and middlemen, or will senior officials and contractors also face consequences where negligence is established? Question 5. Will affected students receive reimbursement for additional travel, accommodation, and examination expenses? A retest corrects the result process, it does not erase the financial damage too. Question 6. Will there be an independent National Examination Integrity Authority? Such a body could include cyber security specialists, auditors, educationists, student representatives, and retired judicial officers. Question 7. Will government publish an annual examination integrity report? It could disclose number of reported breaches, confirmed leaks, arrest, convictions, cancelled paper, vendors failures, and reforms completed. Question 8. Will the government hold an open interaction with affected students and parents? Pariksha Pe Charcha discusses how students should manage examination stress. But when stress is created by the examination authority itself, institutions must also participate in Pariksha Pe accountability. Question 9. Regarding the protest clashes, will independent footage, including CCTV, news footage, and police recordings, be reviewed? Proven violence by protesters should be prosecuted. Proven excessive force by police should also face consequences. Question 10. What is the government's definition of ministerial responsibility? Protesters are demanding the education minister's resignation. Resignation is a political question, not proof of criminal guilt. If the government believes resignation is not justified, what alternative accountability will it offer? A parliament inquiry, an independent committee, a published reform deadline, or a performance audit? Simply saying the minister did not personally leak the paper does not fully answer questions about leadership responsibility. Can create attention, but only reform can prevent repetition. Here are 10 practical changes India should publicly debate. First, secure digital custody. Every access to examination material should create a permanent tamper-resistant digital log. Second, strict vendor audits. Private technology and testing vendors should undergo cybersecurity, financial, and conflict of interest audits before receiving contracts. Third, Dual control assess. No single individual should be able to assess or transfer a complete paper without independent authorization. Fourth, center level accountability. Examination centers with repeated technical or security failures should be removed from the approved network. Fifth, candidate compensation protocol. When an exam is cancelled because of institutional failure, candidates should receive defined reimbursement rather than depending on discretionary announcements. Sixth, fixed grievance deadlines. Answer key objections, technical complaints, and eligibility disputes should be resolved within published deadlines. Seventh, transparent normalization. Where normalization is used, the formula and its impact should be explained in language candidates can understand. Eighth, protected whistleblower channel. Students, employees, and vendors should be able to report suspected malpractice safely. Ninth, mental health support. A real support system should not include trained counselors and referral services, not only a helpline number appearing at the bottom of the notice. 10th, parliamentary reporting. A consolidated annual report should be presented in Parliament so that the examination failures cannot quietly disappear after the news cycles end. India has much to be proud of. The scale of its vaccination program, its digital payment infrastructure, expanding roads, railways, airports, and metros, Chandrayaan 3, the G20 Presidency, scientific progress, defense preparedness, the courage shown during national security challenges, acknowledging these achievements is not a propaganda. They are real contributions made by government, scientists, soldiers, workers, entrepreneurs, and ordinary citizens. But patriotism does not mean pretending that everything is perfect. In fact, caring about a country means wanting its institutions to improve. आज इंडिया के स्टूडेंट्स ये नहीं कह रहे हैं कि देश ने कुछ अचीव नहीं किया. They are asking a simple question: Will our hard work receive a fair chance? A student may accept a low score when the examination is fair. But how can a student accept losing because someone bought access to a paper? How can an aspirant accept traveling for an examination that is cancelled at the center? How can a family continue trusting a system that offers another exam date but no explanation? Prime Minister Modi ji called a paper leaks a grave sin and a national responsibility. That recognition is important. Now students will judge the response through result. Was the network punished? Were institutional failures identified? Were affected candidates supported? Were senior decision makers held accountable? And was the next examination genuinely safer? नेता बनने के लिए रिटर्न एग्जामिनेशन नहीं होता. But leadership has another examination. Its syllabus is public welfare. Its answer sheet is governance. Its examiner is the citizen. And its final result is public trust. This video is not asking you to support or oppose anyone. It is asking all of us to apply one standard, same evidence, same law, same accountability for the government, opposition, protesters, police, and examination authorities. We can celebrate India's achievement, we can respect elected leaders, we can support our institutions and still ask difficult questions. That is not disrespect, that is democracy. Before commenting, please remember, do not abuse students, police officers, political leaders, or grieving families. Do not share an alleged suicide number, paper leak, or video unless it has been verified. Tell me in the comments what one reform would most improve India's examination system, not which party you hate, not which leader you worship. One practical reform. I will pin the most thoughtful answer. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.